Hi everybody! I'm so sorry I'm a couple minutes late. You get to see me fresh with my new hair. My cousin cut my hair while we were back in Nebraska visiting. I was making coffee because I know that I'm going to need it. So I'm not sure how many people will catch us live tonight because it has been so long since I have gone live on a Sunday night. These last few weeks have been very crazy in our family. We did some traveling to go see family, and the months of November and December at our church are pretty busy, and not even a normal thing. We are doing some remodeling at our church, and so because Jeff and I are both on staff at our church, it really, we have to do a lot more stuff that we're not normally doing. So this week in particular, I was not even sure if I was going to be able to do anything tonight because I am so exhausted. And I even got a nap today. It's crazy. But our church had a big push in the beginning of last year, or this year actually, in January. We were encouraged to save up and just to pray about the amount that God put on our heart. But our elders came forward with an amount that they thought that God wanted us to shoot for. And in April, the second weekend in April, we all came together and did one big offering. So the amount that the elders gave to us for that amount was $150,000, which to a congregation that's around 300, we're pretty close to 300, it's a big number. And so it was a lot of just trusting that God was going to provide. And on April, I can't remember the exact day, but it was the second weekend in April, our church came together and we did a big offering, and we raised over $150,000 for those things that that the elders set out for us to do. And one of those things was new carpet for our building, some new tile, and we did some work in our courtyard outside, our entryway. There's some money being set aside for to work on our sound equipment a little bit, just really beautifying our building. Hi Kayla. So this last couple of months, it feels like a lot of those projects that we set out to accomplish together, it's time for them to be actually getting done. So over the last 3.5 weeks, we have had painting happen at the church. We have had tiling happen at the church, and this, on Thursday, they started doing some of our carpeting. So this coming week, they'll be working on more of that, but Jeff and I have spent a lot of extra time. Jeff was gone almost all day yesterday, just trying to put things back together because the entire stage was recarpeted on Thursday and Friday. So there's a lot of extra stuff that needed done. So I was able to get 2 projects together, and possibly 3 depending on how long we visit tonight. But we are going to be using, and this is going to be backwards, but we're going to be using the Spirited Snowman stamp set. And the reason that I wanted to use this one is because when I was home visiting family, and Kayla got to be there for just the tiniest little bit, but we were so happy to spend that time with them. I brought some of my crafty stuff, and I did craft time with Aunt Momo, which is what my nieces and nephews call me. And that was one of the stamp sets that I brought for us to work on, and we used it to make magnets and little puppets on sticks. And so I'll see if I have any pictures of that. I might have to have somebody take pictures. I think lots of that stuff is still at Mom and Dad's house. So, but a few of my nieces and a couple of my nephews participated in that craft time, and it happened on a few different days, but we had a lot of fun with that stamp set, and so it is still available in our holiday catalog, and not until the 5th, so we have a couple more days that we have to wait before we know which sets we'll be carrying over to the new catalog that we'll still be able to purchase. But right now we just have to wait a couple more days to find out which things are officially retiring and being discontinued from the holiday catalog. That will still be available until I believe December or January 2nd, the holiday. Let me check it. I know that it goes, January 2nd. So this catalog, our holiday catalog, will be available until January 2nd. And then January 3rd is when they will release our, I gotta put it up there or it'll fall down. They will release our occasions catalog and our celebration brochure. So on December 5th, I'll be able to put in a pre-order for any of the goodies that I want that are available for us demonstrators to purchase. I'll be able to put in an order and receive those catalogs, but I will be ordering some to send out to my customers at that time as well. So if you have made an order, hi Haley, if you made an order in my online store in the last 6 months, I will be sending those catalogs out to you if you would like them as soon as they get to me. So my goal is to have them out before the official release in January, on the 3rd of January, but with Christmas and snow in Minnesota, you just never know how fast things like that are going to come to you. So I'm expecting a package tomorrow of things that I ordered over vacation, and we got a lot of snow this weekend, so I'm really not sure if it will come or not. So I'm excited because I was able to order a couple of things that they showed everyone at the onstage convention that they just had in Orlando, Florida, that will be available soon. So I'll see if I can post some pictures of those soon. So I think that I have everything set up the right way. I practiced because while we were gone on vacation, I got a new pop socket, which my phone did not have before. And so I had to see if it would fit in my mount because I did not think about that. So I will show you. My hands are already inky. Oh, I'm so happy that you liked it, Haley. And thank you. I like my hair sometimes. It's a little bit more tricky trying to do it sometimes in a really fast time frame. So I like it today. So that's good. So you guys can watch the replay if you're not able to stay for very long today. The cards that we're going to work on are inspired by the picture on my cover photo. So that's super fun. And I'm not going to share anything else until we work on them together. So I'm going to cover you up and I'm going to flip us over and we'll get started. Okay. Now it has been a little bit since I've done this on a live, but I think that I will be able to. Okay, because I practiced. So I'm going to zoom in if I can. There we go. And I'm going to make sure that my computer is all turned on. I'll make sure that, okay, so that'll be my guide. Hopefully it's not crooked. If it is, you guys will just have to bear with me. I'm going to do my best to not make this super difficult. So today I was just looking through, I came into my little craft space here and realized just how messy my room is because we had company come over to our house on Friday evening, and so when company comes right after vacation, you're not usually that prepared for it. So what that meant is that a lot of the stuff that was still needing to be unpacked and things ended up in my craft space, which is normal, right? That's pretty normal. So what we are going to do is, this is and I may have smudged it a little bit. These projects were put together with and I wish I could do a screen on top of a screen to show the projects at the same time, and I might just to remind myself what I'm doing. But hopefully I won't be having a runny nose, tons of it. But we will see, because today has been the least amount I have been blowing my nose in what seems like forever. So we're going to do a really fun technique today with some sponging, and we're going to use blueberry bushel for this one, because I'm pretty sure that the color that they used in this project in the annual catalog, because this project that I'm using today is a box that they used the designer series paper from, I believe it's the Santa, yep. But that paper is already discontinued, and so I want to use it so it just doesn't sit here. But there are lots of other designer series paper that you can use in this place. But the reason I wanted to use this is because it coordinates with the Poppy Parade color. So I've already done a couple of our steps ahead of time. But what I did was I cut a normal piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock in half. And so this is 5.5 by 8.5. And then I used my cutting tool to score it in half at 4.25. And then my layers are, this one is at 4 by 5.25. And this one is 3 3/4 by 5. So I just do some really simple layering, and I'm not always exact. So if that tells you anything about my crafting, I'm not super picky about those exact measurements. So I have also cut out a piece of our basic black cardstock at 1.5 by 1, and I embossed it with a sentiment from this stamp set that says Winter Cheer. So this is the Spirited Snowman, and for this card I also stamped out this little guy, but because of how long I thought it was going to take me to cut it out, I did that part ahead of time, because the part that I really want to focus on for this is this piece right here, which is a Whisper White layer that is at 3 inches by, I believe it's 4 and just a little bit, hang on, we'll go up there, 4.25. So trying to do measurements backwards is not super easy for me, apparently. So what we're going to do is we're going to create this piece into the tag, but I'm doing it a little bit different because they use a punch through it and they trim off the sides, which we're still going to do the trimming part, but I don't have a punch that I want to use for that, so we're going to improvise, and this will be a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a piece of just normal printer paper. Now that we know what all of those layers are, we will color our snowman using some of our Stampin' Blends in just a second, but because this part is a little bit messy, which this isn't even the right color, this one is, because I put my entire thumb into this blueberry bushel when I was not paying attention. So we're going to do our best to open it up and use our sponge. Now this is a sponge that comes with our Stampin' sponges, and what I do is they come in circles, so 3 different circles, and I usually will cut them into wedges so that I can get more out of them, and these are super cheap. I'm pretty sure that they are, I even turned to the right section, I think. Maybe not. I thought I was close. I'm looking at a catalog right next to me here, because usually, let's see, our sponges, there they are. Our Stampin' sponges are $3.50 for this pack of sponges. So they're pretty big, and I have an extra piece that I put in here, so that one doesn't come with it, but it comes with 3, and I usually cut them into wedges, and I would even cut that one. because it doesn't really take a big sponge to do what I'm doing. And that way, if I want to punch out the color of cardstock and I can clip it to the top, I do that with some of mine, and that looks a lot like this one does. So we have a punch like this that I can staple to the top and write the name that my ink is on there. So that is another little tip for me. This is a brand new one today, so I have not made it to getting that designed yet. So what I'm going to do is I took my blueberry bushel and my sponge and I just inked that up really good. So I'm going to start by doing a couple off there, and then I start smooshing. Now I'm going to do my really best to not shake you all over the place because I did not even think about that. So I'm going to dab, and then you will probably shake, or at least my lamp will. My lamp will do the shaking and you guys won't. Who knows? So what I'm doing is I'm going to start at the bottom, and I stamp it off first so that it has a little bit less of a harsh edge there. And so I want it to be lighter at the top and darker at the bottom. So I'm just going to take that, and that is just what I wanted. So that is what that's going to look like. And now we are going to take this stamp right here, the little snowflakes, and we are going to sponge those or stamp those just in that blueberry bushel, and I'm going to stamp it off a couple of times just for those lighter snowflakes, and then we'll go over it with one darker just here in a second, just to give it a little bit of an effect there. All right, so now we're going to do one stamp off, and so they'll have one shade of dark snowflakes, and I thought I might have switched some of them around. I can hear my puppies out there, so I hope they're not getting into trouble. Okay, so that is really all we're going to do for that one. So the fun part of this effect that we're doing today is that, oh, and I'm going to leave that here because I'm going to use it again. I forgot. Okay, so now I'm going to get out my Stampin' Scrub, and I'm going to use my Stampin' Mist cleaner, and I'm just going to spray my lid to make sure that area is wet, and I'm going to clean off my stamps on the wet side, and then use the dry side to finish that cleaning. And another thing I wanted to tell you guys about that is new from what they announced it on stage is that they are designing a brand new stamp line. Well, it's kind of in the works, but there will no longer be wood blocks, which I haven't bought a wood block stamp in a long time. So what they're going to do is in this new holiday or occasions catalog, they are going to only provide photopolymer, which is the clear stamps. And I'm going to see if I have one close by because there we go. So the clear stamp or the photopolymer stamps are the ones that are completely see-through stamps. So that is a photopolymer stamp. So what used to be called our clear mount stamps are like the ones that I'm using right now because they adhere to the clear blocks. So that's what's called a clear mount stamp. And then they used to have, and they still will in the annual catalog until the new catalog is released in June. So all of the stamps that are in the annual catalog right now that say they are wood mount stamps will still be available. But in the new catalog, the occasions catalog, they are changing things up and they're going to have what are called cling mount stamps. Now these are also a red rubber stamp. They look almost identical to these, except the stickers that come with them were redesigned, and these stickers are not the cling mount stickers, but this is how they come when they come in the package for the clear mount stamp set. They come where you can peel half off, and then you can peel the other one on, and then you can position your stamp right on top of it. So what is special about those the cling stamps is that the backing on them, this part right here, is really is designed to adhere to your block really, really, really well, and almost to the point where you're going to have to be careful taking them off, which is amazing because that's exactly what we want for our stamps. We want them to stay on our blocks when we're using them, and that is one of the main reasons that I have decided not to use my clear mount stamps with my stickers, because these backings don't stick to the clear blocks very well. And so for my best coverage, I decided that I was not going to use my stickers so that I could still use my clear blocks the way that I would like to. Hi, Debbie. So I'm super excited because those cling mount stamps are going to be amazing for adhering to our clear blocks, and we will be able to see the design from the bottom now. So that is going to be really, really great. Hi, Laura. All right, so the next part that we're going to do is the kind of tricky part. And so I even made a piece almost like this. I didn't do the stamping on it yet, but this is a technique to see. Oh, have a good night, Haley. I'll talk to you soon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Stampin' Spritzer, and I'm going to move this off to the side just a second so that you can watch this happening. But what I'm doing is I'm putting my spritzer in my fingertips, and then I'm just going to drop it over the top of our project. So what I'm doing is I'm creating the water spots on our project, which that was just water, not super difficult. I'm just going to dry my fingers off with my towel here. And so I'm going to leave this set to dry, and I'll use it on a different project. But I had this that I set already started, so we'll have to redo the stamps. I forgot to do that part, but I might actually leave this one because it went pretty fast the last time. So what we're going to do, that was just a little bit of water, and it'll just kind of give it a couple different water spots that will end up looking like that when it dries. So you can just see it kind of lifts the color just a little bit. Thanks, Debbie, for sharing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to trim the edges on the top, and there's not any rhyme or reason to this, and I probably did a little bit more than my other one, just so you know. Yep. So this is the joy of being live, that you get to see me make these mistakes and then try to fix them on camera. So this one will not look identical to the one that I already did, but you'll get the gist out of it. So that is what that's going to look like. And then what we are going to use, if I see it close by, we'll use it. All right. While this is drying, we'll set that aside. And what we're going to do now is color our cute little snowman. So what we're going to use to color our snowman are a few of our Stampin' Blends. Now these are alcohol-based markers, and so my snowman is stamped using my Memento Tuxedo Black ink pad because that is what ink pad is best for our Stampin' Blends, since they're alcohol-based markers. So what we're going to use is we're going to use our Bronze Stampin' Blend, our Dark Poppy Parade, let's see, oh, this one. We are going to use the Dark Pumpkin Pie, and then because I want to match our little snowman to this piece that we did in the Blueberry Bushel, instead of using the Stampin' Blends for that one, I am going to be using a blender pen, which come in a pack of 3, and I'm pretty sure they are under $4 as well. Might be $4.50 if I'm not remembering right. But all I did for this one, and we'll use this one first, is I just pushed my ink to the lid, and when I open it, it puts the ink right into this part here. So what we're going to do for this is we'll set that aside for a second. And then I'm going to, I didn't even clean my blender pen off after I was done using it. So all you have to do for this is stick your blender pen in the ink on the lid. And this is one of the things I love about the blender pens is that you can use them with any of the colored ink that we carry. And so all you have to do is run your blender pen on a blank piece of paper, like I could use this, to clean it out. And then once the ink is out, you can use it on the next color and so on. So it does not, you don't need a separate marker for every single color that you're using. And you can use it with any of our ink pads. So I love that. So all I'm going to do with this is I'm just going to turn it, twist it, and run that blueberry bushel right out. And now it's ready for the next color. So we're done with our blueberry bushel. So I'm going to set that aside. And now we are going to use the small side of the tip. I'm typically using the bigger side, but because of the tiny little edges on this one, I'm gonna use the pointed side. So all we're using the dark pumpkin pie for is the cute little nose. So if you heard that, the Stampin' Blends, you need to make sure that you click them really carefully. Otherwise they will dry out because they're alcohol based. So I just typically will open it like this, and I'm going to use my brush side for this one. And I'm going to do everything on the hat except for the polka dots and just this main part here. And we're not going to do any blending using the blender pens today. We're just mainly using them for the marker effect for this. But so we just are going to finish up by doing the little stick arms. And then after we're done with our projects, depending on what time it is, we might be able to get out some shimmer paint and create a little bit of shimmer to our snowmen. Actually, I'm looking and I think I used, yep, I did. I forgot that I used the dark granny apple green for my buttons. So it just adds a little bit more color to our cute little snowman. So that is all we are going to do for our snowman. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip him over. Move our blender pens over there. We're going to flip him over, and I'm just going to add some Stampin' Dimensionals to him on the back here. Just 3 of them. And now we'll wait to put him on until we have put our base together. So what we're going to use for our base is I'm going to use some snail adhesive. And I'm hoping that we're not going to run out because it looks like it's pretty close. I have a refill really close by in case I need to get that out. But we're going to do some snail adhesive on both sides of our base here. And then we are going to put this on our base card as well. And I usually will just do one on each side and then a strip down the middle. And we are going to put that, leaving a little tiny border around the edges. And that's when this one is going to come into play. So this one is going to lay flush on our card. But what I want to do first, let's see, here, we'll do this part first. So we're going to put our adhesive on, just trying to get as much coverage as we can because of those water spots. Okay. And we're going to do it at a little bit of an angle. And so this part is going to be really fun. What we're going to do is we're going to take, I have some embellishments here. We're going to take our clear faceted gems, and then we're going to use some rhinestone basic gems as well. I'm going to find my paper piercer. So instead of punching a hole for this piece, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the bigger of our clear faceted gems, and I'm just going to use my paper piercer to get up under that. And I'm going to put it right at the top there, just to kind of be in place of our little hole that we're missing on that. And then, here, I'll move that out of the way, I suppose. And then what we're going to use is we're going to use some of our silver baker's twine. So this stuff is so pretty because it has the silver lining in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a cute little bow, which is always harder to do when you're live, but we're going to try. And I'm really trying not to hurt my blister on my finger. I'll show you that in a second. That's something else that happened this week while we were doing our set design. We did our project using hot glue, which is amazing. I love hot glue, but it is not super forgiving when you can't see what you're doing. So I got quite the burn on my finger, which when my sister-in-law Chelsea saw it, she teased me about it because she had way bad body burns on her body in high school. And so my tiny little blister, which looks huge on my thumb to me, is nothing in comparison to what she had to deal with her burns. So I feel like a little bit of a sissy when, I don't even know if you can see that up close. There we go. It's kind of gross. I feel a little bit like a sissy because of what she had to deal with compared to what I'm dealing with. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. So I've been really trying hard not to complain about any pain that I'm having from it because it's nothing. So what I'm using are glue dots here that I received in a paper pumpkin kit. I just like to use up all of my supplies that I get, and what I'm doing is I'm taking it to the back of my little tiny bow here, and I'm going to peel that backing off, hopefully. Let's see if I can do it without putting my head in the frame. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it at the top of this cute little gem. So it's going to go right there, and then our little edges will fall down to the sides there. Now, I'm going to see if I can flip this around because it's kind of twisty. It might just stay twisty, but that's fine. It's not a big deal. I'm going to not let it bother me. It'll be fine. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to take off our backings from our cute little snowman. And we are almost done with this card. It's so cute. And he is going to be right here on our card. And then we're going to just put on a few little rhinestones around him. I think that this set of rhinestones is a little bit old. It has the old packaging on it. But again, I'm trying to use up what I've got. And that one is going to get put on with my finger. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put our sentiment on. And it might be in a different place than where my other one is, but I don't want to cover up our water spot here, so I'm going to do it a little bit higher. And we are going to put it right there. So that is our cute little card. Hi, Kimberly. Glad you're here too. So this is our first card, and again, this is based off of now you can see how different my tag is. That is how much I didn't practice that at all. I had no rhyme or reason or anything. So that is our cute little first card. This is the one that I did this afternoon, and then this is the one we worked on together. And this one was based off of that cute little box that they had in that picture that I posted on my cover photo. So that is the first one. So I'll just move a couple of these things out of the way here, and we will get started on our second project. And I'm going to sit this over here. I had to get creative with where I was putting things because of just how messy my area is. It is that bad, I promise. All right, so this one is going to be fun because we are going to use our Buffalo Check stamp set to do one of our base, our bottom layer there. So we're going to set aside, this is a piece of Lemon Lime Twist cardstock, and I cut it the opposite way this time. So this one is cut at 4 1/4 by 11. Yes, 4 1/4 by 11, and it's scored at 5 1/2. So this will fold this way and we'll open up this way instead. So that is that, how different that one is. And then these are our other layers that we're using today. So this one is a 4 by 5 1/4 layer. So that is the layer that is going to be with our Buffalo Check. And then our Poppy Parade cardstock is at 4 1/4 by 3 1/4. And then this Whisper White piece is what will have our snowman on it. And it is cut at 4 by 3. So that will layer right on top of that piece there. So that's how that one will look. This tiny little piece of Whisper White is cut for our sentiment, and it's not even going to stay that same size because we'll probably do some trimming. And then I also did this little piece of holly and berries ahead of time with the Stampin' Blends. I used the dark shaded spruce and the light, or the dark granny apple green and the dark shaded spruce for the green. And then I also used both the light and dark Poppy Parade for the berries in this one. So that is what I used for that. Our snowman, I'm pretty sure we have 4 more Stampin' Blends that we used, but I'll cover those when we are doing that part of our card. So I'm going to set our little pieces aside and hopefully not lose them. And we will be starting with our Buffalo Check. So what we're going to do here is try really hard to not make a massive mess, because this is the reason that my hands are green. So you will just get to get inky right along with me and not be scared of your ink. So this is our shaded spruce ink pad, and it is brand new, and I've only used it twice, so it is a little bit sticky in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm leaving my Buffalo Check in the case here, and I'm just going to ink up my stamp right in the case. And I'm going to do my best to not ink up my case as well at the same time. So we will be using this as a background stamp. And so we just inked up, hi Lauren, we just inked up that whole Buffalo Check with our shaded spruce. And now we are going to take this layer of Lemon Lime Twist and we're going to flip it down right over the top. And I'm going to try really hard to do it level, but you know, it doesn't always have to be level. Stamping is not for perfectionists. Because I used to be one. Just kidding. I think that stamping should be fun and not stressful. So if you make mistakes, don't get frustrated with it. Just take it as an opportunity to grow and to create beautiful things as you learn. So that is what that is going to look like. So that is, again, shaded spruce on Buffalo Check. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this aside to clean it with my Stampin' scrub in just a second. But because of how inky it made me the first time, I'm going to save that so you don't have to watch that happen again. It'll be fine. It's not too much trouble, I promise. You can do it. Don't let it stress you out. So that is all we're going to do to that layer. And now we are going to get out our sentiment and for our snowman here, and I'll set these aside. This card did not take me a super long amount of time, except for the cleanup part. I feel like the cleanup and getting ink all over my hands happened and was harder to deal with, but oh, that's all right, Lauren, that you're watching it on mute. You can watch me later if you want to. Sometimes I do that too. if I'm doing other things. So we're taking this cute little skating snowman with our Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And another tip, if your stamp is bigger than your ink space, you can flip it upside down and kind of tap your ink on the bottom, just right on top of it, just to make sure that your coverage is good on that. So that is what we need the Memento for. That is also what I used for this one, since we used the Stampin' Blends on that little piece. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that this hat goes across straight there. That was kind of how I did my placement before. But yes, that buffalo check stamp is a must. And I have no idea if it's going to make it into the new catalog, because I saw some sneak peeks from on stage from my friends who got to go and have all that fun. And there are some really, really fun things coming that have the same buffalo check inspired fun to them. So we will be getting some fun designer series paper in buffalo check, and we will also be getting some, oh goodness, I think there's some ribbon. I might be wrong on the ribbon, but I know that there's definitely designer series paper, and you guys will love it. So we are using the Poppy Parade for our sentiment. And the sentiment that we are using for this one is "Your friendship warms my heart." So that's super cute. So we're just going to open up our Poppy Parade, close that up there, ink up our sentiment here, and we're going to leave a little bit of space on the side here, and we're going to do it on the bottom because we're going to trim it. So I'm just going to ink that down, and that is perfect. So what I'm going to do, since I wasn't super sure how big of a space I needed for that size of the sentiment, I wanted to give myself a little bit of a cushion, I guess, on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take my paper snips here, and I'm just going to snip off about 1/4 of an inch straight across the top. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a little bit of a banner from it, just like that. So that is what that piece is going to look like, and then our sentiment is finished. I'm going to leave those snips out for a second because I will use them for our fun string. Alright, so what we're going to do with this one is a little bit different in how we're coloring it, and I kind of messed with it just a little bit. But we're going to start with our dark Poppy Parade, and I'm going to use the brush tip side, and I'm only going to color part of it. Now you'll see more with the green color, but we are going to do a little bit of shading with our blends today, but more just for an effect of having a little bit of more white space. So we're not coloring in all of our space today, and we're just going to use our color lifter to do some blending today. So that is another one that we will be using. But for our red particularly, I'm going to use the light Poppy Parade to do some blending with our red, our little red hat. So we're going to blend, and I just typically will, when I'm blending, just do a swirling motion over from the dark corner out towards the white side, and that's what blends the colors together. It will not look perfect when you get started. It does take a little bit for the blending to kind of come together while it's drying, but it's not too much time. And the blends are my favorite markers I feel that I've ever had. I've never really messed with Copic markers, and I never had ever used an alcohol-based marker either. So I was really excited to try them when Stampin' Up! Got them, and I'm pretty sure that I'm close to having all of the Stampin' Blends and I want to use them on everything. So the only thing that I want to recommend is that when you're using the Stampin' Blends, you get their lids on really tight, like I said before. But another tip is that you have to store them so that they're laying flat or just like this, because the ink will go to one side or it'll dry out one side. So you have to be really careful with that. But they are amazing, and I will show you how I have been storing them. I purchased these large stamped cases, and I separated them by color family. And so this is some of the in colors and some of the subtles, it looks like. Yeah. So I will use these, and I have 4 cases that I store my Stampin' Blends in, and I store them like this in my little IKEA cart, my Rajab cart. So that is how I store them. And then even when I took them with me to Nebraska, it was super easy to travel with them as long as they were laying flat. So just a little tip there. So what I'm going to do for this one is I'm not coloring all of it, just some of it. So this is the dark shaded spruce Stampin' Blend there. And we are using it on both the hat and the scarf to match with our inspiration that we're using from the Stampin' Up! Catalog there. So I'm just doing the bottom half, every other one, on our cute little scarf here. And it is not super, super dark. Let's see, it's on the top one. I'm really sorry if my stomach starts growling. I decided to practice my cards instead of eating dinner, and now I'm starting to feel it. It's pretty normal. Yesterday was a long day of projects, so I didn't eat until really late, so it happens sometimes. So now we are using the dark Granny Apple Green, and we're going every other one. I love this scarf. I would probably wear it if I could. So we're doing, again, the bottoms and leaving all of the white space on the top. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the color lifter, and we're going to blend it up a little bit. But it'll still look like it has a little bit of a line when we're finished with it. But it's not like an awkward line. So what we're going to do first is we're going to do the shaded spruce, and we're just going to kind of bleed those colors into the center, and then into this part. And it'll look really cute, I promise. Once it's on the card, it's just a part of the effect. So now what we're going to do is with the Granny Apple Green, we're just going to kind of rub all that color up into it. Super light. It just kind of takes the harsh line away and makes it look a little faded. And I'll do a little bit of white space in the center of our red, our Poppy Parade. And then we are done with our color lifter. Hi, Nate! Hope you guys are having a good afternoon. All right, now this one is the bronze Stampin' Blends marker, and we are just doing the arms and the tiny little legs, which I think I may have forgotten to do the legs on the other guy. Yep, we'll have to pull him back out because I did not even notice that I had forgotten his tiny little legs. So we're just doing the little stick arms, nothing super fancy. Again, which, do you want to see some? Oh, I can't show you. I'm going to fix it. I didn't even do the tiny little legs on the one that I practiced on, if that tells you anything. So this is our first card that we worked on together, and I'm just going to take my Stampin' Blends and give him some legs because that was going to bug me. All right. So that is all we're going to use our bronze color for. And now for our little buttons and then the blades of his skates, we are using the light basic black. just a silvery dark color. Kind of gives it a little bit of depth there. So we're just going to dab our little buttons with black. And again, the ink that you want to use for your stamps when you're using the Stampin' Blends is our Memento Tuxedo Black ink. So that is our cute little snowman, and we don't have to do any cutting on this one. So that was another really fun thing about this card. It's almost a card that you can consider a simple stamping card if I didn't have so many layers to it, but I think that it's still cute. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start putting our card together, and we are going to put our base on, or our bottom layer to our base using, oh, we're going to run out. I knew it. You get to see me refill my snail. All right, so what we're going to do is, this is what I've trimmed my edges so that I can keep a little handy thing next to my desk here that has Stampin' Dimensionals, and it has my bone folder and a pin, and I usually will keep my scissors in there, but I trim them so that I can keep them handy. So all you do is you remove that piece, you pop that out, and then you take this tiny little piece of cardboard that separates that. So I'm going to sit that down here, and now when I remove it, I pinch these two places right here, and that just pops right off. So this base is what you keep, and you stick it right on. Let's see if I can get it. First try. It's usually really easy if I have it on. And it just snaps on together, and then it's fixed. So it's ready to go. And when you first get them, they'll be a little bit more noisy, which I kind of don't mind at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick our buffalo check layer down, leaving a little bit of a border, and we'll set that part aside for a second. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take our little snowman layer. Oopsie. Hopefully that won't affect. There we go. When it's new, sometimes it wants to stick. So we're going to do this one at just a little bit of an angle with our snowman. And now, before we get any other adhesive on, what we're going to do is we're going to measure out two strands of that silver baker's twine. I was like, it doesn't sound right. So we're just going to measure it on this layer here and trim it off just like this. Nothing super fancy, and that's all we're using that for. So then we're going to line it up at the bottom here. And it can twist over each other. It could be straight like I'm going to do, but it's going to lay just like that. And then we're going to use just a normal Scotch tape to hold those edges down using the cheater method. And then we will put our Stampin' Dimensionals on. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pop up this whole layer using Stampin' Dimensionals, and you know me, I love my Stampin' Dimensionals, so I use a lot of them. I love cards that have dimension to them, so I don't hesitate when I'm putting on dimensionals, because I think a card that's popping up off the page is something super cool. So what we're going to do with this is I'm just going to take my backings off of my dimensionals, and we will do this whole layer onto our base. And since we made our snowman layer tilted a little bit, this piece is going to go straight. So we're going to, I think that looks good. So now what I want to do for this piece is we're going to, I cut one of the edges just like this of my Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm going to take this layer and put it on the bottom. And actually I'm going to do both of them. So what we're going to do is we're going to put that at the bottom because it's going to overlap with our baker's twine. So we're going to take this and we're going to kind of tilt it just a little bit, just like that, so that the baker's twine kind of shows through there. And now we are going to put a Stampin' Dimensional here, and then we'll trim off a little piece here. So there, and there. And we're going to put our little holly berries right on the edge of that there. So that's so cute. Right there. So again, these were inspired by the picture in the catalog. And I'm pretty sure that this one is a card in the catalog. But the other one was a box. So don't limit yourself in those things. So these were the cards that we made tonight. And so the other thing that I thought would be super fun to teach you really, really fast. Hi, Rhonda. So these are the cards, and I'll leave them sit here while we work on this next tiny little project. But this is something that you could do super easy. We are going to take some, and this is a trick that tons of my Stampin' Up! Friends do all the time. So you take Hershey's Nuggets, and then you take designer series paper, pretty fancy paper, but I'm going to show you with, I have a cardstock that is retired. So I'm going to bring my cutter over here, and we are going to use some paper from the Joyous Noel Specialty Designer Series paper pack. So this is a paper pack that I have used before, but it's really pretty because it has this foil in it. So one of the fun things about these Hershey's Nuggets is they're the perfect little size because they're flat on them to wrap them in designer series paper. So what I like to do is I like to cut 1-inch strips of designer series paper, and I measure them 1 inch by 3.5. And what I do is I put adhesive on the back of them. So I have a couple that are already cut out that we can do, but these are so fast that it's literally 1 by 3.5, and I start at the bottom with my cute little Hershey nugget, and I just wrap it around just like that. Oh, and I did it too long, so maybe it's just by 3. So I'm going to trim that with my paper snips. But it just wraps around, and then they're so cute. So what I like to do is I like to put them in, and I'm going to see if I can find my cute little bags, because I did not practice this part because I wasn't sure if we would have enough time. So Stampin' Up! Carries these really cute 2-inch by 8-inch cello bags, and I like to stack the Hershey Nuggets. Now I haven't wrapped them all. We'll wrap a couple before we put them in there. So I'm going to cut a couple more. So we're going to do it by 3 1/4 instead. So 3 1/4 by 1 inch. And so we'll do some in the green and some in the pretty gray with copper. Yeah, that Joyous Noel paper was so popular that it sold out before my back order even came to me. So I got a whole other pack that came in the mail that I want to use it for all of my Christmas cards still. So we're going to do some in this pretty green. I think that is shaded spruce. So we're going to do some of them in the gray and some of them in the green. And then we're going to stack them, and I did not finish. I didn't put together a practice one. So, hi, Jules. You can totally watch the replay. Super simple tonight. You're right, Debbie, it did. It sold out so fast. We could not get enough of it. But that foil paper, we just love it. It's so popular, which I love because it means they'll keep making it. So I just keep putting adhesive on the backs. So we're just going to do 5 for our little cello bag tonight. But what you can do is you can stack them in your little cello bag. And they open on this side. Okay. So we're going to slide them in to our cello bag. These would be really great teacher gifts to put with like a Starbucks or Caribou or whatever your local coffee is. I like Mocha here in Rochester. That's our little local place. It's just 2 blocks away from our church, which is really dangerous, but it's a drive-through, so I love it. So we're going to do cute little stackers. And these 2x8 cello bags, I'm going to look to tell you how much they are because they're so cheap. But you could do so much with just the little, that little pack of bags. And it comes with 50. Okay, so you just need 1 to do tons of them. You can make them for stocking stuffers, which I'm totally going to do. Okay, let's see. Where are the cello bags? I'm getting closer. I know it. It's got to be close. Here they are. Okay. So the 2x8 cello bags are $3.50 for 50 of them. So you could make so many cute projects with that many. So I have always wanted to show how easy and fast it is to make those cute little Hershey nuggets. And they have some really yummy flavors of those too. So they don't all have to be milk chocolate like mine. But I know that my kids will eat the milk chocolate ones. So if I forget to use them on projects, at least I know they'll be eaten. So super simple. The designer series paper is great for this because there are so many amazing choices and you don't need very much at all. So you can make a ton of these cute little nuggets. So those are our cute little projects. I will probably make a little topper and I'll post a picture of it. I'll do that after we're finished here just to kind of give you an idea of how I would finish it off. But I'm so happy to be back crafting with you guys again. I missed you over these last few weeks of crazy busyness. And I hope you're all doing really well and that you had a wonderful Thanksgiving with your families, but that you remember why this season is so important, just that we remember the gift that God gave us when he sent his son to the earth. So I'm just so thankful to get to spend this time with you and to have some fun crafting at the same time. I feel like I have not had this creative therapy in a long time, so I'm gonna lock myself away in here and I'm gonna craft until Jeff gets home because I just love it so much. So I hope you are all gonna have a great week. I'm totally planning on being here next week and I don't see anything on my calendar so far that would get in the way of that. So I'm gonna do my very best to have something fun planned. It might be even Christmas wrapping. I have a couple of things that I would love to try and practice that I have learned from a few other demonstrators that would be super fun to help with getting ready for Christmas. But I will see you all super soon. Have a great night. Bye-bye.